hopefully everyone had a good time yesterday. Found it interesting. Learned a lot from it. So we have a full day planned today of these workshops. And we're going to be talking about our new Transform app, but also about digital transformation. Obviously, Josh from GE gave a pretty powerful presentation yesterday about what GE is doing around this. So hopefully this will give a little bit more level of depth about the opportunity that we think exists for you within digital transformation. And we're going to spend a lot of time looking at the configuration of our Transform app as we speak. So we'll get started here. So just a quick agenda. We're going to go over an overview of digital transformation. I'm going to then go over a history, kind of very quickly, of how we've evolved to be where we are with this digital technology. I'm going to talk a little bit rubber meets the road about digital transformation today, so give a couple examples how companies are actually doing this. Then we're going to really spend most of our time talking about what we see the opportunity for people within innovation to help out on the digital transformation for your organization. And finally, we're going to get into the our Transform app. Okay, sound good? All right, awesome. Thank you.
Like the enthusiasm.
So the first thing we want to kind of convey, and again, hopefully Josh's presentation yesterday, is that we really see digital transformation as a macro level transformation of your organization, equivalent to going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. It's not incremental in any way. This is something that's going to truly transform. The numbers of impact are going to have a lot of zeros behind it. So we want to really get into people's mind the magnitude of the change that people are expecting to come from this digital transformation process. And we thought this analogy was good too, because it goes from the caterpillar being kind of slow and heavy and sluggish, and once they transform into a butterfly, being lightweight, being able to go longer distances, and again, it's kind of captures the essence of what we think true digital transformation of your organizations will have. So I want to kind of go through a couple of examples just to talk about some things that have already been digitally transformed in the organization to get a sense of kind of this at a broad level. So the first thing I want to talk about, I don't know, we have some people with gray hair here, but maybe not. But if people remember this, 15, 20 years ago, this was how people exchanged messages within the organization. So there wasn't any kind of computers or this and that. So literally to get a message to someone on a different floor or this and that, someone named Margaret would probably come and roll past you, and you would put in your message, and then she would walk downstairs or to the next floor, and then she would go and hand that message to someone else, right? So very analog way of doing things. Obviously today, that has been, from digitalization, has been gone to zero as far as efficiency. So, any of us on our phones, we use Slack in the office. We used to use Skype. We use Yammer, all of that. But I can now instantaneously send a message to anyone else in Bright Idea in real time. They'll get a real-time notification, so it's almost instantaneous. So, we think this is a good way to kind of present and help people understand the impact of transformation. The next example I have, this is actually the oldest stock certificate that has been found. It's from 1606 from up in the Netherlands. So, if you think about the stock market, it basically was a paper-based trading vehicle for hundreds of years, going back to the 1600s. So, if I wanted to kind of buy something, it literally had to go get that paper. So if it took time to get shipped over through a boat or this and that, it was, very manual. You flip forward to today, and that entire, infrastructure has all been digitalized. So now anyone can go and buy stocks and own stocks and control that instantaneously. And if you actually look at some of the volume of the S&P, you could see, this star here is something called Globex. It was really the first kind of true global digital exchange. It's a little bit like a back end. It was before there was E-Trade or whatnot. And you could start seeing that that really started to pick things up a little bit as far as the volume of trades. And then in '96 is when E-Trade came out. And you could see a little bit, once that kind of hit and it got a little bit of adoption, I mean, things started to really take off. So again, just think about the impact that this digital transformation will have on your organization. And you could see just magnitudes of change. Again, going back to that caterpillar and that butterfly. People are actually, because it's gotten so efficient now, in the stock market, they're trying to put in like technology that will slow down the rate of which people are allowed to trade. So there's kind of two sides to this. But again, just think about the magnitude here. The final example I'm going to give at a high level is thinking about advertising in general or billboards. So this is a billboard from 1971. Obviously someone went up there and painted that. This is a static thing. It took a lot of effort to go and actually paint that. And this is probably before they had like the wallpaper. Someone probably literally painted this up here. So you can imagine the amount of time it took to do that. Another thing here, though, is like the targeting of this was pretty inefficient. You didn't, and you also didn't know who was actually looking at it, right? So there was no data set behind any of this, right? You fast forward a little bit further, and then they took that billboard and then they digitized that billboard. So this solved a couple problems, mostly around the efficiency of being able to change this, and they can also target it a little bit better. They still didn't know who was actually viewing the information. So it was one step, but then really, true transformation came when you now have digital billboards, right? They can very precisely target, the person that they're looking for, et cetera. I actually had a different image in here as of 2 days ago, we were actually sitting. It was before our kind of get together on Tuesday night for people at our office. We were sitting around, and we had ordered pizza. And I'm from New York, so someone was like, "Oh, you're probably not going to like the pizza, here, blah blah blah." And I was like, I don't really care. And I'm like, as long as it's not Domino's, I'll be happy, right? So I was just talking that with a group of people, and I have like an Android device that most of you guys probably have Apple, but I have the same thing. If you go like, "Hey Siri," you could talk to it. You could say, "Okay Google," in an Android device. So it's always listening to me. So literally, I then went to my Instagram account about a minute later, and there was a targeted ad for Domino's in my Instagram account. So just to give you a sense of the change that's going on, not only are they targeting, but they're going from voice to digital to then figure that out and present it back to you in real time. So for those of you who don't know and did accept those terms on Hey Siri or OK Google, we didn't allow them to monitor those kind of things and provide that information. So be careful if that's something you're not interested in. And then the last part of this is now we also have all of the data behind all of this, right? So not only can we target people better, but we can see exactly who saw this, et cetera, and you can then leverage all that data. So I mean, going from this, all the way to this and this. I mean, it's just a complete transformation that's being allowed by digitalization. All right. So next up, let's just talk about the history of digitalization. So I found this on Wikipedia. So again, another kind of brilliant digital learning capability. But basically what they're saying is like they think we're in the third stage of embracing digital technology. So the first stage of it was we just had to figure out basically how to do it. So we had to figure out how to take something from analog and make it digital, right? So we become competent in doing that. Once we became competent in doing that, then we had to figure out like, well, what uses are there for this new digital technology, right? And you could think about like, Apple, figuring out like the iPod, right? When the digital music came out, right? We started to use it. But now the word digital transformation is really what they think of as the third phase of truly, the world transforming because of this digital competence and this digital usage. And I thought this line they had here was relevant. We're going to talk about this later, about the opportunity we see for you. But basically they were saying this transformation means, the stage means that digital usage inherently enables new types of innovation and creativity in a particular domain rather than simple enhanced or traditional methods. So like this movement is going to spur innovation and creativity, and that's why we kind of put it into our product, because we think transformation is innovation. It's going to drive innovations, and we want you guys to kind of be at the forefront of helping your companies do that. I want to get a little bit more granular as far as thinking about like how people are using digital transformation today, and I have two examples for that. So the first one is from DHL, and they're basically, I have a video that's going to come up, but they're basically using augmented reality, like Google Glass, if people are familiar with that, with their people in their distribution centers to figure out how to go and package things, this and that. So they're taking something that, I'll just play the video and they'll explain a little bit better here.
Technology has always played an integral part in further improving warehouse operations. With the rise of augmented reality, we're about to take a leap ahead. DHL and Ricoh have piloted vision picking to drive the next wave of supply chain innovation that simplifies operations.
Vision picking is essentially equipping pickers with smart glasses that enable complete hands-free order picking. Today, we're using a mix of handheld scanners and a paper pick list, but we think we can make this process leaner and also more user-friendly by taking a paper and hands-free approach.
Vision picking can greatly increase productivity, reduce errors, and support our employees in their daily work. To find the best solution, we teamed up with Ubimax, the leading experts on wearable computing. Their vision picking solution is the most mature and flexible on the market, and we're easily able to tailor this to our environment and deploy it on the Vuzix and Google glasses.
Now the order picker can easily log in and begin picking by scanning the next available trolley. Using Ubimax's innovative user interface, task information is displayed clearly in front of his eyes. The trolley is also displayed graphically, so that the picker sees instantly what needs to go where. This could provide a much faster, more accurate, and user-friendly approach to order picking compared to standard paper pick lists and handheld scanners. Our first pilot proved a significant performance increase due to time efficiency and error reduction. It also received high scores from the pickers regarding user acceptance and usability.
Here at Ricoh, we're always looking to further improve our processes and implement new technologies into our warehouse. We are proud to have DHL as our innovation partner to jointly test this together.
This is just the first step in our innovation journey. In the future, we see augmented reality also playing a role in other parts of the supply chain. We look forward to continuing to bring innovation to our customers.
So as you can see here, I mean, obviously digital transformation is what's enabling this innovation to happen. And again, we almost see digital transformation and innovation as the same thing. And with you guys being kind of innovation leaders in your organization, we don't see any reason why you can't be supporting your organization as they go through this digital transformation and create even more value for what you're doing. So that thing was pretty cool, because the interesting thing to me was that it showed you what bin to put it in, so it was all organized and you could just drop it in any bin that you wanted. So next case study is GE. So obviously Josh yesterday kind of went over this in a lot of detail. I knew Josh was speaking yesterday and I wanted to kind of reinforce this, but just like before, I did have a video, and then when I was sitting listening to Josh and he played the same exact video, I had this kind of reaction. So I'm not going to kind of redo the video, but the video he showed on additive manufacturing, if anyone's interested, is available out there. But what I did do is I did steal one of Josh's slides that he presented, and I think it's worth just kind of re-looking at the impact that this additive printing is having on his operation. So I don't know, at first, I don't want to knock it, but I didn't really understand the information design of this slide at first, but I guess it's top to bottom here, or bottom to top, but he's basically saying, like, in the past there were 300 digital files that were required to make this particular part. and they've reduced that down to one file. It took 60 engineers to make this thing. They've reduced that down to 8. There was over 50 suppliers of parts. They took that down to 1. And then the inspection system, that each one of them would have their own inspection type vehicle. They were able to unify all that. And then even with the repair, sources, there was 5 different sources that they would need to go through to repair that, and they took that down to 1. So, this is for like an individual part for the most part. So you can imagine all the parts and all the different business lines that GE has. And again, just to try to give a sense of the scale of the impact that potentially these things could have in your organization. All right. So we've kind of went over a little bit of the background. Hopefully everyone kind of gets this sense of what digitalization is, how it can impact. Everyone good with that for the most part? Cool. So now we want to kind of, again, start transforming this conversation into what is the opportunity for you guys, especially given that you have a bright idea, and how can you help your organization? Digital transformation is on the rise. This is like Google search terms, results. So, you should be able first to be able to have a conversation with people within your organizations. Later on, we're going to give you some pointers of who you might want to go talk to. But most likely, there are teams out there, that are doing this. IDC is projecting companies are going to spend about $2 trillion on digital transformation initiatives by 2020. And again, we found this data here from an SAP survey that basically says that only 1% of companies they surveyed aren't doing anything related to digital transformation now. So again, that probably means that all of your companies here are doing something. What they found was 22% were in the planning stage of doing something. 55% were doing piloting type projects. It looked like from that DHL video that was a pilot that they were doing there. And then 19% have some kind of completed projects, right? So again, your companies are doing this in some areas. We'll get into who you might want to go talk to. But this is happening. We want you to try to get involved in that because we believe we can help them create more value from it. Now, the interesting thing is while a lot of companies are trying this, we found some research from McKinsey that I want to share with you, because basically what they found is when they asked kind of, okay, well, all you companies are doing this, well, what are you doing this on? What areas of your business are you working on digital transformation projects? And the majority of them came back and said marketing and distribution, products and services, processes, ecosystem, and then supply chain. So these were the areas that people were focusing on right now with their digital transformation initiatives. The interesting thing about this was from McKinsey, the McKinsey survey, and I can provide you guys links to it, is they also looked at the effect on revenue growth that companies will face once they reach a total or 100% digital transformation. So it's kind of a little bit, you got to kind of get your arms around this, but what McKinsey is saying is that when different areas of your business truly become digitalized, that digital transformation will actually have a dampening effect on your revenue growth, okay, because of disruption and this and that. So they did a survey to figure out what areas the digital transformation will have the most disrupted effect on your revenue growth. So negative here means that supply chain is actually going to have the biggest disruptive effect on revenue growth for the organization, right? But and again, it's a long thing, and I don't know if people deal with McKinsey, but a lot of time their stuff is just all over the place and way over my head. So it takes a lot of time to figure it out. It took like 5 hours to get what they were saying here. But the thing I'm trying to make out, if I go back a slide, right? Marketing and distribution was kind of the thing people were focusing on, right? But marketing and distribution, people are not thinking it's going to, have a great effect. The biggest effect here is supply chain. And then again, if you go back to this, very few companies are focusing on, the digital transformation within their supply chain. So, this to us was really what we believe creates an opportunity to leverage a tool like ours to contribute to the digital transformation issue. Because you guys, can use our tool to go and engage, the broader crowds, just like you do when you run idea challenges, right? To try to source these digital transformation ideas or projects. And hopefully using the tools that you're going to see Carlos go over, you can better target which areas of the business you want to impact. So on the evaluation scorecard, we can have questions relative to will it affect marketing, supply chain, distribution, and you can use that to leverage your results to then hopefully get the company focused on working on the projects that actually will go in and drive these areas that are going to have the biggest effect from digitalization. That makes sense at a high level? So here's some of the things that we think our Transform app will going to help you do, and will create an opportunity for you. So it'll increase the visibility of the digital transformation projects in the organization, so you can push out the projects to make people aware that they're going on. It'll help you focus. You can run digital transformation type campaigns or challenges around particular areas, so you can focus just like you do with standard solve or optimize challenges. You can focus people to come up with projects, digital transformation projects in the areas that are important. It'll help you better manage these, so you can take in a larger volume of these initial project requests, manage them more efficiently, just like Josh is doing. He said he's got 1,000 in the backlog. So just to have 1,000 approved in the backlog, you can imagine he probably has 10,000 that came in, just for doing this. So you can't manage all that in Excel and whatnot. So we're going to give you tools that they mentioned yesterday, something called the Team Workspace that we introduced yesterday. That is a component in our Transform app, and Carl's going to go over that. And we're going to help you track all of this, so you can report on the value that's being created from all of this. And actually, a lot of the reporting, frankly, that came out yesterday was from Josh, because he was basically putting in such large numbers into our system, and he had all his tracking stuff. We've been working with him for the last 6 to 8 months to redo our reporting, so we can report out, with one click, all of the metrics that he's looking for, instead of him having to download stuff and then put it in Excel and then create new reports. So a lot of the reports have been driven from GE. We think you guys are uniquely positioned. I've been saying this over and over again. We see innovation and transformation as very complementary type things. So we think you're really positioned. We think you have the right mindset, in the organization. We think you have the right skills. And again, we think you're positioned well for this. You also have, a mandate, most of you, to innovate. And again, if you can connect the dots in your executive minds that, transformation drives innovation, you can somewhat, get them to understand that this is really, part of the same overall umbrella that the company is trying to do, to see if you can, get yourself a little bit involved in those things. And the last thing is, most of you here are clients of ours, so now with the release of our Transform app, you have this app available to you right now to go and, have some bionic arms to go and facilitate some of these activities. So now let's get a little bit more granular in kind of how you go about doing this. So that was all the background. You have the mandate. We believe there's a great opportunity. So what do you actually do when you get back to your organization, tomorrow or Monday? The first thing we think you got to do is you got to find your digital champion. So as I mentioned, most of your companies are probably doing something, around this. So you got to go and kind of find the person responsible for digital. There was a survey here. Fortunately, I'm not exactly sure who it's from, but that kind of outlined who's responsible for digital transformation. So most of the time, it's coming under the Chief Innovation Officer. But again, if you think about it, Josh wasn't part of GE's IT organization, so he was in a business line. So it doesn't have to always come from there. Could come from the CEO, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Digital Officer, et cetera. But you're probably best bet, go to talk to people in IT, see if you can figure out, who's doing digital transformation activities there, and then see if you can find some sponsors. We do believe that for those of you guys who run your program, when you do like solve challenge or optimize challenge with our software, like as a shared service where you're going in and engaging a business unit to figure out their problems, and then you're running challenges to solve that problem on the behalf of the business unit. We think you could do the same thing if you treat the digital transformation team as a sponsor of potentially challenges. So we're not suggesting that you guys become the digital transformation team in the organization. Some of you guys might, but what we're suggesting is most of your companies probably have a digital transformation team or person, and the opportunity you have is to go talk to them, and you can give them the GE story, or you can, about how you can help them source better projects to work on, manage those projects, track those projects, et cetera. Because most likely they don't have any formal tool to go and reach out to people like you can with Bright Idea, or to have all the management functionality that we have. So they're probably managing things in Excel or wherever it may be. So again, just like you do a shared services to run idea challenges, we believe you can act as a service to the digital transformation teams in your organization, so they can do what they're doing more efficiently. Again, I went over this, but yes, you're going to be able to reach out to the audience. You're going to be able to use our tools. Carlos is going to get into this in more depth on managing this. And then with our new project, Team Workspace, you're going to actually be able to even track those projects through implementation as well. All right. I think I'm good there. So.
You good?
I'm good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it up to Carlos. We're going to take questions at the end, but Carlos is now going to really go through the app, but he's going to spend most of his time actually looking at the workflow. So a lot of times when people see some of the new apps that we release, at first they kind of all look the same, but I want to really have him spend time on conveying all the thought that was put into all the steps of the workflows, and even down to the evaluation or scorecard questions, because we thought through all of these. So all of those apps that you get that we released yesterday, make sure you really dig into that, because they're all fully configured, not just from the nice look and feel, but like the development questions we want to ask in the fourth step of the process, or the scorecard question, or the weighting of it, or if we have an auto graduation set. There's a lot of depth of thinking that goes into each of those apps to configure it properly based on the learnings that we have from all our clients. So I'm going to pass it over to Carlos right now.
Thanks, Vin. So getting into the app and kind of what value it brings to the table, how it helps you with digital transformation. First, obviously, as Vin mentioned, helps you reach out to your entire organization for more projects. We found that a lot of times, if digital transformation is happening in a company, it's happening within a individual business unit, or it's kind of point solutions to tackle small problems, but it's not tackled organization-wide and strategically. So this gives you one landing page for everyone to come in and submit their ideas for ways to transform the business. Again, I'll dig into this more, but it helps you prioritize the projects with the highest impact. Again, because they're not thinking strategically, they're not thinking organization-wide, cross silos, cross departments. They're not really evaluating how do we spend our most, our money wisely. It's not looking for, it's more, Josh's initial, let's try to do this one part and see if it works, but not, hey, let's use this as a model for transforming our entire business. So we, Josh and GE were able to use our tools to think more strategically about where they do that. Again, right weight project collaboration. So something that we want to emphasize is these are inherently risky type activities. There's no roadmap for digital transformation, really. We provide a process, but each individual project is going to be unique. It's not 3D printing is going to be different from digitizing all of your contracts. So those projects will be developed from the ground up. So we wanted to give something lightweight to really be flexible, and then finally provide business impact dashboards to see to report back. Okay, this is the impact that we're having with these digital transformation efforts. So again, all of these tools, all of these capabilities have been kind of modeled from other successful customers, and it's all about enabling you guys establishing your innovation program, giving you another tool in your toolkit to reach out to people in the organization and really start providing bigger, better value. So getting into, if you'll excuse me, into the software itself. This is going to be familiar to everyone, I'm pretty sure. This is the digital transformation homepage, place where everyone can come in and submit their ideas for digital transformation. Just take a quick look at some of the nice new features. So you'll have these boards to view the different projects that are in flight, and then again, some of those cool filters and ways to slice and dice, really see what projects are happening by different criteria. But what we wanted to dig into was the real value is in the process that we set up. Take a second to load on this hotel Wi-Fi. But again, we talked to customers, we talked to GE and kind of baked their processes into this. I might just use this nifty little laser pointer. It starts off with an initial screen. This should be familiar to a lot of you, to give you kind of a quick, at a glance, as submissions are coming in, what's your initial impression? You'll notice that we have these new displays for showing the results within the step, so you know kind of at a high level, A, what the score is, that average score, and B, how many people completed it, so you'll see that some of them are more complete than others. That's what those...
And Carlos, this is, as the new ideas for the new transformation project comes in, they're going to be set to an initial screen, right?
Exactly.
Which
So
is
1 to 7 scale.
Is a 1 to 7 scale. And then we're
Right.
going to send that out to who in the organization?
That's
is
for
gonna
the
get this?
digital transformation team.
And that will go to digital transformation. And then once they complete their scorecards,
Or once
they're
they
single
complete their...
scale.
Yeah.
system's going to rate it on a scale of 1 through 6, right?
Exactly, 1 through 7, and then
1 through 7.
we baked in rules so that if something's above 4 and up, it'll just automatically go on to the next step. So you could just turn this on and not manage it, and only the best ideas will flow through this process. Getting into the next step, this is a development step, which I'll actually show you the questions. This is again modeled after our customers. So it's just some quick out-of-the-box questions to get, this is again sent to the digital team to get more information about who's involved, do they have the right resources, how long is this project going to be able to take. It's really just to prime these projects for evaluation further on in the pipeline. So once that's done, it gets moved over to
Does it
the next.
automatically move it over?
Yeah, once it's complete.
Okay, so these first few steps are basically are fully automated
Right.
using our rules engine, right?
Right,
So it comes in, if it gets over a 4 or over a 5?
over a 4.
Over a 4, it'll move it forward. It'll automatically send out those additional questions to people. Does it send those out to the idea submitters?
No, it gets sent. All of this is for the digital team to evaluate and develop the business case.
Gotcha. And then
Let
once
her
that's
evaluate.
completed and with the checkbox, it'll then automatically move to the next step in the process?
Exactly.
Excellent. And then what's the next step?
So the next step is for the digital team to evaluate what's the business impact of these projects. So we set up a scorecard, again, modeled after what our customers are doing. Oh, actually, let me take you to the scorecard view here.
So there's a new template for a digital transformation scorecard in the system?
Exactly. All set up out of the box. So this is to evaluate, what are these potential projects based on a set of different dimensions. So feasibility, we wanted to ask, what's the business impact? What are the costs and how risky is this? So just giving you some ways to understand for each project, what are these different dimensions, and to provide an overall, like, what's your impression of this for the digital teams to give a go or no go, or to hold for future consideration. That's the kind of 1,000 backlog of ideas that Josh Mook has for GE, things that are either the technology is not quite there yet, or the process needs to evolve in order for it to provide the right type of impact.
And again, all of these questions were based on customer interviews, and we aggregated all of them and came up with a core set of questions.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Now getting back into the rest of the workflow.
Well, let me ask another question. So once they
Sure.
fill that out, obviously you get the score, and we have our nice new score right on the list view.
Right.
Nice work there. Is there an auto graduation here?
Not for this.
Okay.
We want the digital team to, at this point, to kind of compare all of these potential projects against each other, and then determine which ones have the most impact, and finally give a go for.
So we have for each of these, like if we went into here, we can see like the side-by-side idea comparison type
Exactly.
stuff. Can we show that real quick for people
Sure.
maybe that haven't seen that? A different idea. But I envisioned, to Carlos's point, like we didn't do an auto graduation here on the scoring thing, because I envision that at this point then the digital transformation teams are probably having a monthly meeting, you know, and reviewing the top 5 or top 10 ideas for the ones that they're going to move forward with. So, you know, and I think this is a screen that they would bring up in a WebEx or in a live meeting, and using this to foster a discussion of which of these projects they want to move forward in the project. Make sense?
So getting back to the steps view, from there on, it's about tracking the project as it progresses through this flow, and eventually seeing it through to business impact. So what you're going to do is, once it's ready to implement, you're going to plan and prep these projects. And let's just dive into the new team workspace. Again, if you have Bright Idea, this stuff is already all turned on as of yesterday, so you can go in and explore yourself. So this is one project that's in flight, and it gives you some kind of high-level project management tools. Again, this is stuff that's going to be developed. You know, you're going to build out a plan for your project on a project-by-project basis. So be able to set some milestones for yourself, be able to reorder, provide a due date for them, mark milestones complete. And the great thing about this is that it's really about keeping your team in sync and focusing on the right thing. So we pulled in the riskiest assumptions, which automatically the top one gets displayed there. So everyone's focused on addressing the riskiest
right
assumptions
here?
for these projects. Yeah, right
I
there
didn't realize that.
under the line, under the title. Some great task management features so that you could quickly add a task. So let's add a task to conduct a customer interview. Really do this stuff really quickly and easily. You could leave it unassigned for anyone on the project to pick up and complete, or you could assign it to anyone on the project. Set a due date, and they'll receive an action item once that task is complete. Again, everyone gets a notification. Keep everyone aligned.
So the big picture here is that now this team workspace allows people for selected projects to actually work on prototyping them, you know, building them out, right?
Exactly.
At the next stage. And you can do milestones, tasks, risk assumptions, and then this is our new business impact. So again, those of you remember, we have projections and actuals on different tabs in the past, and people are like, you know, it's all messed up, why can't you combine them? So, you know, that's what they've done. They've combined all our projected and actual into this new business impact tab and cleaned it up a little bit. So you can now put in the projected, and this is where Josh was putting in all those $5 billion of
Exactly.
projected earnings, et cetera. So
Yeah.
I'm just being mindful of time here too. So
Yeah.
I do have a question we didn't ask about. I never noticed this. What is the private button there?
So this just lets you know that these projects initially right now are meant to be only for the team itself to work on. We are thinking down the road we'll add add additional functionality to let other people kind of get a peek into what's going on in the project, add some transparency. But for now, we wanted to make it clear this is only for these project teams and administrators if they need to get in here. So it's a private little workspace away from the front end where you're collecting all of those different project ideas.
Excellent.
Are we gonna have a chance to ask questions, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm feeling pressured that we're not asking questions.
All right.
Yeah, what do you got?
Well, you talked about where the company's focusing, and you said they're seem heavily weighted toward marketing products and processes, but you felt like there was an opportunity in supply chain.
Yep.
And
Well, I didn't feel McKenzie felt that way.
McKenzie felt, but I mean, do you guys? I guess my question. Check.
But I can hear you fine. So
So it's for the video. So my question really is about: are you doing this with companies today? I know you just created this, but I mean, I'm assuming they were using your product elsewhere for this type of thing.
Right.
And do you have any data to provide to us, not just McKinsey, but around, like Josh's thing? We've been working with GE a lot, so I know he focuses on the additive stuff. He's leveraging what you guys are doing, but he's using additive to do it. And so I'm just wondering if there's anything you can add to the McKinsey data as far as where the low-hanging fruit is for us around this.
Unfortunately not. I mean, from a raw data perspective, given that we just released this, we don't have the raw data to provide our own kind of metrics around where our clients are currently using that. I hope in the next 6 months, as people start adopting this, we can do some analysis on what areas of their business they're focusing their activities on. But given that we've just launched it, most of the work that's been done in the insight have been through client conversations, with people like Josh.
Maybe you piloted it with some people, and so you had some data from that.
To be honest with you, the big pilot has been with Josh. So,
He said it was. So.
exactly. So I mean he's been the kind of the core person that's been driving a lot of this the activity functionality relevant to this. So I'm happy to kind of get you data as it comes in. Our VP of product is right behind us, so she's digest a lot of data that comes in. So we'll be happy to get it to you as soon as we can.
Do you work in supply chain specifically?
No, I'm just basically looking for, where is the collective here focused? What are people doing with it? Because obviously a lot of times you just kind of put a really broad challenge out, and you're trying to get to specifics as quickly as possible. I mean, for us, I don't know if it's everybody else, but we're constantly being challenged with where's the value, where are you releasing value, right?
Right.
And so the wick is burning, and I feel that sense of urgency. So I'm always, if there's a way to skip forward to where people are releasing value, that's where we want to go.
Yeah.
Well, just think cost reduction. So the benefit here with an app like this is you're basically transforming processes, right? So you're going to drive towards less time spent, fewer employee hours. Okay. About cost reduction, fewer employee hours, time less spent. So I think driving towards bottom line is actually more direct through an app like this versus some of the other stuff we were talking about as far as disruption,
I'll
right?
So yes,
Yeah.
and that's a good way. We have enormous organizations that do incremental.
Yep.
We are focused on transformation.
Great.
Right.
So if I go in and tell them, they'll be like, yeah, those guys do that, and those guys do that, and those guys do that. So I'm supposed to be finding transformational things.
So is there a transformation team, or you're saying your team is the transformation? Your team is okay, so that actually is a little different from the assumption that Vin and Carlos presented, where you might be going to a transformation team to support them. You're talking about running this for your team to prioritize the top projects.
I'm putting this to the entire company and looking for the transformational moments.
Cool.
That's what we're doing.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're thinking is that you would, it's not just one box for all of them. Like you'd run like targeted challenges for specific areas, of the business that you're focused in. The McKinsey stuff is the most detailed information that I was able to find, and I'm happy to send you a link. I mean, it's a much more involved report around where people are focusing, their efforts and the returns on those efforts.
I'm just saying, I think for me personally, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, go for it.
Somebody else jump in, please. But whatever's working, part of I think what Bright Idea could do is they could share with the entire, your your clients, you know, just generically what is working, you know.
Understood, understood. And we try to do that with some of the other things, but again, with this just going, we just don't have that data set yet.
No, I'm
But
assuming it'll come quickly.
yeah, we're hoping so.
So one thing that I've seen is sometimes it's taking kind of, in the GE use case, it's taking one application, so 3D printing, additive manufacturing, and trying to find new ways across the business where people think that they could add value. So they actually canvas all of their engineers in all business units and enable them to submit their, just like Josh talked about. So it's, additive manufacturing was just one, it was just a little part of aviation that had a technology that they thought, okay, are there ways to apply this across the organization and really transform how the business is done? So I think that's one key thing that we've learned from GE and stories like them, is taking one technology and trying to find new applications across the business. And that is a way to kind of focus people around ways to transform our business. It's a little bit hard to kind of conceptualize just broadly what's a transformation idea. Honestly, I don't know. But taking, say, machine learning or AI, how can that impact what I do in my job? And then having the space to, you know, say, let's be outlandish with this. Let's just submit your ideas. It doesn't matter. Again, it's about adopting risk and trying to get past that culture of we're looking for really, you know, safe, incremental enhancements, which we have other apps for. And let's think about bigger stuff. If you could dream of how this could help your job, like submit it to us. Got a question?
Yeah. So follow up on that is, how do you, I guess also a question for the room. How do you like incentivize people to use this platform as like a central location for those sort of like transformational ideas? Because a lot of people, if they're just changing, you know, transformationally what they're currently doing, why would they not just go to their boss or their, you know, director and work it offline in some existing schematic? So does anyone have any like secrets or, you know, tips and tricks for getting people to actually use the platform? Because it's great for documenting, keeping, you know, all the long-term impacts centralized, right?
Right.
So,
What do you currently use the platform for running like idea challenges or anything like smaller? Do you incentivize that at all, or?
Not directly. There's not with, you know, not simply with money or anything. More praise, recognition,
Yeah,
that kind of
recognition.
thing.
You know, I don't know. Does anyone have any tricks or comments
Can I
for
take a stab at this one?
Jesse?
Okay, sorry to make everybody break your neck, but I actually worked with Josh. I'm a consultant here at Bright Idea. I've been here for the better part of a decade, and we built that process together when he had a team of 5. And I'll actually try and address both questions that were asked very briefly because I know we're short on time. So to address the gentleman who's asked a question recently in terms of incentivizing, so a digital transformation team is likely going to go around to all the different lines of business, the different departments and so forth, and talk with upper level stakeholders about the opportunities that exist within their department. So it's not something that's like a priori you can understand where these opportunities exist. You can make generalizations, you know, supply chain or anything that's really process heavy. You can apply digital transformation. But in terms of incentivizing, the incentive is already there on behalf of the department, right? Because if you're going out to these senior executives and you're saying where are there opportunities to save costs through digitization, you know, here's what this other group is doing in the company and so forth, the incentive is actually already there. And so what Josh didn't explain yesterday is actually the sourcing of these opportunities is in part from his team. So he has experts in every line of business, aviation, healthcare, transportation, et cetera, and they actually know where the opportunities are, and they're submitting it into Josh's pipeline on behalf of their own team, right? And then as they go out to lines of business, you know, additive is something different than digital transformation, but what they're doing is they're, you know, walking a manufacturing line and they're talking with engineers and they're saying, how are you making this part? How are you doing this? So on and so forth. And so I think if we want to make an analogy to digital transformation, going out to those process teams and saying, what are you doing? What does your process look like today? What parts are digitized? What parts are not digitized? I think that's really where you're going to get the project opportunities, as opposed to a crowdsourcing challenge where people may not have an intrinsic incentive to improve their business, right? If you're talking to somebody who's working through that process and they're spending 8 hours a day trying to build a report, you know, in Excel and so forth, being able to automate that, they already have kind of an intrinsic incentive. So I think I addressed both of the questions with that. I hope so.
Thanks for coming in, Jesse. Glad you're here.
Any other questions? I know we're running a little late on time.
Yeah, I think that's.
Do
Y'all
you
have
have
seen the
any
demo
more?
from yesterday. So.
There you
Sure.
go.
For the new project, for the new project workspace,
Yeah.
you have milestones and tasks. Is all that information available through the API as well, as part of this new rollout?
I believe so. Everything should be in APIs, but I'm actually not 100% sure.
Why don't we get back to you on that? I mean,
Yeah.
certainly there are APIs powering this, but I don't know if it's a client-facing API or
Right.
a customer-facing API.
Any other
Any other
questions?
questions?
I got the product question on the platform. First of all, I love the change, by the way, especially with all the different layout and collaboration spaces. It's an awesome feature.
Thank you.
So on your previous page, you have actually a scoring. There's like a 100 scale scoring that won't automatically move, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it's actually the transformation team, sort of a sponsor. They want to take a look at it. Can they compare it from idea view? So if you click on the idea itself, would you be able to see how that idea is compared to the rest of it within that pipeline, within that column?
Right. So we have some new features. Actually, I don't believe that it's been enabled for this app, but there are ways. There's a feature to display evaluation scores on the idea itself. We feel like that's more because that makes it visible to the submitter. Sometimes it's a little bit, kind of sensitive how it got scored. But yeah, if you want to view that information from the idea, there are ways to do that. But right now, it's kind of not permissioned so that it's only for sponsors or administrators to view.
Is that your question? Do you want
So, is there like a setting there that you could do for different views? For example, like a moderator, or is that where you?
Yeah, right now there is a setting to display scorecard information. That's on the WebStorm level, but right now, yeah, it's kind of once it's on for everyone to see because it's really the intention for that setting was to make it transparent to submitters. How did their idea perform, and if it got cut off, if it got stopped, a little bit of transparency into that. So if you do want to enable that, that's definitely on there. I could talk to you after, show you exactly where that feature is, but it's not something that's just for administrators or moderators.
I see. Great. Thank you.
All right, I think we're running low on time, Kristen. Okay.
Any other questions about the app, about transformation?
All right, 1 minute early. Appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah, feel free to come talk to us if you want to learn more about any of the apps, any of the new apps, any of the new capabilities of the software, or any of the additional use cases that you guys are having.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.